When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, the blue skies continue, the birds keep chirping, and we keep chugging along with our Thursday. Yes, the end of the week is near, and everyone is excited. And here at Mississippi Live Weather, we will give you the very latest outlook on what to expect for that weekend. Mississippi Live Weather at 6, I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, live in the Room to Room Weather Center, where we are walking through a fantastic forecast. But if you're one of the 5 people that are receiving rain right now, well, congratulations. Most of us staying dry this evening. That's our big headline heading into our Thursday evening. But what we're also walking through is that football may be paired with some showers in that extended forecast, especially for our Friday night. And that's what we're going to be walking through, of who can expect what around 7 p.m. on your Friday evening. And unfortunately, it will be rainfall for a couple of us. And Gabrielle continues to progress in the Atlantic. Just what to expect with Gabrielle. Some of our models are a little bit ambitious. And ambitious isn't the right word, but at least a little bit overpowering, showing that Gabrielle is going to intensify into a pretty significant hurricane here in the next few days. But we'll walk through that here in just a moment. The first 12, let's stay in the here and now. 10% chance of rainfall around 7, 85 degrees. Those chances and those temperatures coming down as we head overnight and into the start of our Friday. As you can see right here, 7 a.m., 67 degrees, and that sun will be shining bright for a lot of us in North Mississippi once again. Speaking of sun shining bright, we're seeing that already in Amory with a few of those contrails up there in the sky. Some of those some very small cumulus clouds, but the blue sky is really dominating our forecast in Monroe County. 91 degrees feels like 95. And you might ask, well, Gabe, why does it feel like 95? You have that little bit of moisture and this much sunshine. Those two things mixed together bump those temperatures up a few degrees in regards to how it feels out the door. Adenton right now, so sunny. We're starting to get some of those on the lens right there, some of those reflections right there. So 90 degrees, feeling like 91. So again, bumping it up just a few degrees, but whenever you reach 90, every degree matters at that point. It starts to become a little bit more overbearing. Greenwood, you are getting that sunshine, but you're getting a little bit more cloud cover than what others are seeing as you're getting 93 degrees, feeling like 97. So that little bit of moisture that we have in Greenwood paired with that sunshine, there you go. Starting to get a little bit more of those feels like values into those. We're not triple digits yet, but we're 3 degrees away in the Greenwood area. But we said showers were popping up for a few of us, and emphasis on a few, because what we're still watching is out there in the Mississippi Delta along Highway 61, continue to get a few of those showers. Let's change it over to the Memphis radar site, and we can see that our most significant shower, or should I say storm now, give it some credit, because let's get really in there. We're seeing 3 total strikes, which we technically know a storm is a thunderstorm. So with those 3 strikes, we're getting some thunder, therefore classifying it under those stormy conditions. But I do want to say some of those, some of that core is getting a little bit more impressive. Let's walk through the last 30 minutes on that storm there towards Beulah. And golly, we had Alligator at 5. Now we have Christmas at 6. The Delta. I love learning new names, and you guys continue to just bring a smile to my face. So right over the top of Christmas, Beulah, and Gill, that's where your most significant core is. I will say the scan before this was a little bit more impressive with some of those deeper purples showing up. Now we're still getting a decent bit on that core, but we'll continue to track that here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. But that progressing a little bit more in that northerly direction. I'm going to expand it out one scan and take it in that northern direction there towards Rosedale and Riverton Landing. Let's go about 10 miles an hour to give a little bit more of a heads up. Niles by 620, Wright 633, Waxhaw 644, and Gunnison by 656. I can say that those are 4 names I have never said in my lifetime. So again, continue to amaze me out there. I love tracking those storms. This one over towards the north side of Clarksdale, if we talk about these cyclical patterns that these storms follow, this is a great example of it. Just kind of peaking in strength over the Humber and Farrell community. But here, the latest scan, we're getting some of those drops reaching the ground, but that's the extent of this shower, or should I say storm, once again, because there was that one strike in that cell. So some of these starting to produce a little bit more of that energy, but I mean, just very minor energy, should I say. We are getting one of these showers developing towards Tippah County. This is going to be on the east side of the Blue Mountain area, just south of Ripley. That's close to Clariesville and Buena Vista. And if we track that out, we can go a few minutes on this, and because it's not lived long. This is about 15 minutes, and you can see how that has just developed just northwest of Dumas and starting to get more towards Clariesville. This is not a fast mover. Once again, we're talking about 10 miles an hour, but if we extend this out and put a track on it, because we'll track everything, even the smallest of raindrops, because that seems to be a big story here recently. Let's go southeast at about 10 miles an hour. Molino, 631, Keamville, 646. So some folks up there getting some decent drops of rainfall, but that's the most that you'll be getting, not like the isolated hailstorms like we had yesterday. So fortunately, staying away from any of those severe parameters, but we'll take rainfall at this point, right? Southern end of Calhoun County, your shower is diminishing, so I'm not going to do a storm track on it, but we can at least zoom in and see the areas that it's affecting. That's going to be north side of Choctaw County and south side of Calhoun County. Spring Hill, basically between Highway 9 and Spring Hill, that's where we're getting it currently, but as you can see, way less impressive with just greens popping up now, so we are on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to our rain chances. But looking at those severe weather threats that we're tracking with each of these, you can see that it's just primarily going to be rain, heavy rain. If we populate this in, let me get that real quick. I mean, 0.2 inches an hour, maybe a few hundredths an hour, so not overly impressive on those rainfall outputs either. I can extend this over to Memphis and get a look at some of those storms down there. Let me put that on threats. And yeah, even those storms just tracking some moderate rainfall as well, populated in those and show the difference in the storms. I mean, 0.8 inches an hour, so still not a heavy downpour, but heavier than what we're getting here on the central North Mississippi side. I want to clear this out because I do see that there is the slightest of hail cores, and this is what I was concerned about a moment ago whenever I was looking at it, was it had a little bit, yeah, there you go, half-inch hail possible. Is that reaching all the way to the surface? If we assess this storm, how we've been assessing the storms the previous days, you usually need that signature to be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to get anything to reach the surface. Just a lot of that melts before it ever reaches the ground. So fortunate, because we don't want hail, like I mentioned, but if that continues to become a little bit more impressive, definitely one to keep eyes on in that extended forecast. Now, expanding things out, we can see that there is a severe weather threat, but that's primarily up there towards Missouri. That severe thunderstorm watch in place with several severe thunderstorm warnings already. All of that associated with this frontal boundary. And you would think, well, that's bringing rainfall or meaningful rainfall to our area. Unfortunately, not the case. Where our moisture is coming from is actually this high pressure center that's out there towards the east, wrapping in some of that Gulf moisture right here to North Mississippi. And that's why it's so sporadic in development. It's not exactly a forcing mechanism that's allowing this to occur. It's moisture in the air interacting with that daytime heating. Those two things put together, that's all you need for a thunderstorm. My professor at Mississippi State said you need two things. You need heat and you need moisture. Whenever you have those two things together, and that's basically North Mississippi in the summer, well, that's why you get those afternoon thunderstorms. So those continue to take place as we get into our Thursday evening and Thursday overnight and heading into our Friday. You can see how this front tries to inch closer and closer into our Thursday, but it's not going to affect our area. Definitely not bringing rainfall and definitely not bringing that cooler air. So it's unfortunate because we need rainfall. It's also unfortunate because we're about 3 days from fall now and still dealing with the heat. So we will take cooler temperatures whenever Mother Nature wants to provide it. But that front, I mean, we were talking about how this was negatively tilted, and that's kind of the end of the life cycle for some of these low pressure centers. Well, already starting to dissipate out by 9 a.m. and then that will continue to diminish as we get into that extended forecast. So that front, not going to be our story, not going to be our forecast, and we continue to stay on the mostly dry side for our Friday. But mostly dry. That means some people will be getting showers, 10% chance by 12, 10% by 3, and upping to 20% around 6, 7 o'clock for our Friday evening, which means that's right on time for our high school football games, at least for 20% of us. 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. staying on the drier side, and of course that continues into those lunch hours. But I mean, you can see the forecast tomorrow evening. We're not exactly excited about it as we are tracking those showers, but there is one area in particular that we're focusing on in regards to who can see that rainfall. And we'll walk through that in more detail coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6, coming up in 60 seconds. We'll walk through that as well as the latest on Gabrielle in the Atlantic. We're tracking so many things here in the Room to Room Weather Center, so we hope that you guys are as informed as possible. And if you have any questions that I haven't touched base on, go ahead and put those in the chat and I'll be happy to answer those here coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. Other than that, we will see you right here in the next minute to talk more weather here in North Mississippi.
Up here's where your biggest risks hide: leaks, mold, and expensive damage. Most commercial roofs fail slowly until they fail big. Why rip it off when you can restore it? Our silicone coatings stop leaks, prevent mold, and extend your roof life without the high replacement cost. It's a 30-year watertight roof, energy efficient, leak-free, and half the cost of replacement. And it's backed by GE's manufacturer warranties. Facility managers love this. No disruption, no tear off, and long-term protection for your property. Trust Absolute Restoration for your commercial roof.
Community is the way we find our strength and share our hope. It's the way dinner on the table brings a family closer together. It's the way we make sure his first chapter book is the first step on his path to greatness. It's the way we rally in hard times and rise back up stronger than ever. United is the way we come together so everyone can thrive. Join us at unitedway.org.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Like we've been talking about, blue skies highlighting a large portion of North Mississippi's forecast heading into our evening. Here getting a look in Maben, 90 degrees right now, and those beautiful blue skies being highlighted there. A few cumulus clouds up there, but nothing too major to worry about over there towards Oktibbeha County. As we look down south there towards Macon, some of those cumulus clouds starting to get a little bit more organized there on the southeast side of our area, but this is looking northwest, and this is going to be the back end of a few of those cumulus clouds that do have some vertical component to it, but reaching all the way up to at least produce a few moderate showers. That still remains to be seen, as we're not exactly crossing that threshold, remaining right below it and enjoying some drier conditions and plenty of blue skies. So 87 degrees right now. That is the coolest location across North Mississippi, but those temperatures continue to be hot in that extended forecast. Rolling Fork 89 degrees and plenty of blue skies as well, considering just a little bit up north there towards up north on Highway 61, dealing with a few of those moderate showers as well. So 89 degrees, not too shabby there towards Rolling Fork, and I know folks are not complaining one bit about that forecast. Now let's go ahead and get into this forecast here with our Mississippi Live Weather Radar. I'm going to change this radar site over. Actually, give me 1 second here. You know what? I don't think I can do it on this one. Let me see if I can knock something out here real quick. Okay, I think I figured it out. Sweet. Okay, so let me get back on analysis mode. I love technology sometimes, right? Let's get back on reflectivity, and I'm going to change radar sites over to the Memphis radar site. And I want to take a look at this storm there towards Shelby and Cleveland. This one has been the highlight of the afternoon, as a lot of this has just been some brief rainfall and then gone. So this one actually producing about 8 lightning strikes. Yeah, that's the parameter we set today. And over the last hour or so, you can see that this was earlier more significant storm there towards the Beulah area. Let me go back to that scan right there. And whenever we take that 3D assessment like we've been doing the past few days, you can see that there is just the slightest of hail core on that. And unfortunately, we're right on the outskirts, so I don't know how much data we're going to be getting, but just enough to where you can see those purples showing up at about 10,000 feet. So we are getting at least somewhat of a hail core, but not reaching all the way to the surface. And this can best be seen on our threat tracker right here. So I'm going to go back into a home view so that way we can not be looking horizontally at these storms. And let's get back to right here towards Beulah, right over the top of you right now. So a decent downpour like we've been mentioning, or should I say that was at 6 o'clock. Still close to the Beulah area, but moving a little bit more northeast there towards Gill and Clifford and Malvina. Now, if we track that out, and let me go back over the last 30 minutes to get a good path. That one on the collapsing phase, definitely not nearly the intensity that it once was, but if it were to continue going at about 5 miles an hour, and we'll track that leading edge, and I'm not going to say directly northeast, I'll say north-northeast. Malvina 625, Niles 625, Clifford 627, and then on there towards Simmons at 630. So this is one that we're paying attention to, not exactly concerned with, and we're not exactly concerned with anything here in North Mississippi right now. If we expand it back to our home view, you can definitely see that there's little to no moisture here in the area. So staying on the drier side once again, like I mentioned, even down there towards Holmes County, where the Northeast Tigers are taking on Holmes Community College, should I say. The Bulldogs down there kicking off here in about 45 minutes. So folks down there, if you want to go watch a good football game, that's the one to go see. Drought monitor. Right now, here's the latest look at it. You see that level 1 threat slowly becoming a level 2. And that's just a result of some worsening drought conditions, and level 3 creeping in more and more right along the Tennessee state line and well into Panola County, now trickling into Yalobusha and Lafayette County. So unfortunately, dry conditions are prevailing and will continue to prevail in that extended forecast as rainfall remains very, very limited. Here's a look at your percent of normal precipitation. If you look at our scale, green is more of a wetter forecast, at least above that, 100% of what it needs in the area. Below that, it's a drier forecast, and that can result in those worsening drought conditions. The good thing is for folks that had that drought monitor issued back in over the last month, they are now seeing a much better forecast with more of a saturated forecast over the last 30 days. So that's at least helping their drought conditions. But elsewhere, basically anyone else other than Greenville to Greenwood, we're dealing with those drought conditions only progressing and getting worse. So I know that's not a great sight for farmers. They still need some of that water, some of that rainfall to water their crops. But unfortunately, that looks like it's going to continue to be the case. I mean, looking at Futurecast into your Thursday evening, look at the rain chances. I mean, just few and far between. These pop-up showers that'll continue to go in and out of the area, but not exactly bringing meaningful moisture. And there will be a few folks that are enjoying some drops. But overall, 90% of us staying on the drier side. So even by 10 p.m., some of this moisture tries to move in there towards Alcorn County. Those, of course, really progressing there towards Tishomingo and Itawamba County closer to 2 a.m. I know the Tigers are traveling back to Boonville tonight, and they'll be dealing with maybe a few pop-up showers depending on what time they get back. And so I know it's always better to drive when it's drier, but I mean, at this point, we'll take the rainfall no matter what time it wants to come. 6 a.m., those showers trying to linger in the forecast, but you see what's out there in eastern Arkansas. That's going to be a big factor to our story tomorrow for our Friday evening. We'll track that here in just a moment. Friday morning, mild conditions, 68 degrees Tupelo, Houston, Eupora, 67 Bruce and Water Valley. And looking at that school day forecast, of course, it is going to be a mild start into a hot finish. 67 degrees by drop-off, 88 by lunch, and 93 by that last bell. And it may not say it on this graphic, but we do have rain percentages moving in by that final bell. Let's track that out. 7:30, still dealing with a few of these pop-up showers, so don't be surprised if you feel a few drops on your way out the door for work or school. 9 a.m., those do try to linger, and as we saw at 5 o'clock, definitely a hot spot there in Monroe County on our Futurecast. So is it going to verify? Well, it depends this time of year because model is not exactly doing a great job with that sporadic development. But anywhere in this general region of Monroe County, Clay, Chickasaw, even southern Lee County could be experiencing a few of these drops. And then into 12 o'clock, there's some of that moisture that was moving through eastern Arkansas, now into western Mississippi, and progressing through our viewing area into that mid-afternoon. So we're tracking these showers moving in the area, not exactly the best chance of rainfall, but at least providing more meaningful moisture than what we had today. 3 p.m., those showers are already getting back into into Monroe County, should I say. But watch how widespread it becomes by 5 and 6 o'clock. Now, we were looking at some of those temperature forecasts, and the fact that we're experiencing cooler conditions tells me that this is going to verify, at least for the most part. I'm not expecting these widespread conditions, but definitely some scattered showers and storms expected for our kickoff time because this is 6 p.m. on our Friday. One more hour, and we're talking about kickoff for a lot of high school football games. Might be having to deal with some of those rain showers and those rainstorms as well. Not exactly going to be significant impacts. These will not last long, so don't be expecting a complete washout. We just might have to wait a couple minutes to get that game going for a few of us. Few. Emphasis on a little bit. High temperatures, that's really the story that'll affect everybody as 94 is seen in Bruce, New Albany, Tupelo, 92 Boonville, 93 Senatobia, and 96 around the Greenwood area. Drier air still in the forecast, so that's what will limit some of our rain chances, and it's an uphill battle that these storms have to go through in order to produce. So for a high school forecast, or high school game of the week sponsored by Casey Lott, we're looking at pregame around 20%, halftime 20%, and that final snap, still seeing some of those showers linger in the forecast. Temperature-wise, though, a lot of that rain will cool us off nicely and make for a much more comfortable forecast. You're seeing 88 pregame, 78 by halftime, and 74 by the final snap. You see, homecoming was last week there in Hatley. We have homecoming this week in South Pontotoc. That's where our game of the week will be for Mississippi Live Weather. We can't wait to be in Springville with South Pontotoc and Okolona celebrating a fantastic homecoming and getting a great football game on the field. The fun part that I love about our game of the week is that they become the highlights on this graphic the next week. So this is Hatley versus Mantachie last week, and I mean, Hatley put a whooping on in that game. So South Pontotoc and Okolona, I want a good game tomorrow night. Back and forth battle, okay? Because I want both highlights to be shown. Let's go ahead and get into that Futurecast as well into our Friday night. And here you see those rain chances lingering. And this is another one of our short range models, our strike model. And so comparing the strike model to the HRRR model, still has these showers showing up in the northern part of our viewing area with the most significant rainfall. So that's for folks in Ripley, Boonville, Corinth, Iuka, watching for those showers over by you guys around kickoff and lingering through game time. Not going to be as widespread, but still a few drops lingering there towards 10 p.m. So it's unfortunate, I know, bad timing, but I know for 90% of us here in North Mississippi, we will take the rain. And me included in that, and I'll be out there in the rain if it were to verify there in South Pontotoc. So 3 a.m. on your Saturday, drier conditions once again, and those showers do try to linger in that extended forecast, but we're not overly high on those chances. This is a little bit ambitious on our Saturday morning forecast, still remaining on the mostly dry side with a few pop-up showers, but that's the extent of our moisture on our Saturday. All of that continues that eastward motion and carries off into Alabama with a few lingering on the backside. But again, these chances I'm not overly high on. I do have a mostly dry forecast for our Saturday with 1 or 2 showers possible by the afternoon. Sunday, dry once again with more afternoon showers expected. High temperatures still in the mid 90s for Saturday. 94 Amory, 94 Tupelo, and 96 towards Columbus. Oh my word, it's toasty. 96 Greenwood, 94 in Cleveland, and those feels like values still keeping it bearable with those dry conditions in the area. So again, we will take 95 if it means that we're not going to have that oppressive humidity, so consider it a blessing, although it is still 95 degrees. 94 for Saturday, 93 Sunday, and those mostly dry conditions continue, but that slight rain chance is in the forecast, but it's just still a warm forecast. But heading into next week, we do have better conditions. We'll see in just a moment. Let's first go back over that day planner because I know Friday is a big day for a lot of us in North Mississippi. 67 at 7, 91 there towards noon, and 94 by the afternoon. So those toasty conditions already in our forecast tomorrow. 20% coverage is what we have for rain chances mid to late afternoon and into that early evening. So football games, pack the rain gear in the back seat because you're either going to be happy that you brought it or happy that you don't have to use it and it's a dry forecast, right? So either way, bring a smile to your face. And we love smiles here in North Mississippi. Saturday, drier. Sunday, a little bit of an increase in rain chances with 20%. Monday, drier conditions pushed back. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, more of our increased rain chances, but not exactly sold on it just yet. One long track model run is rain heavy, complete washout both days. The other model run for our long track model run is very dry, very little rainfall. So those two things together, we're seeing which one verifies. And as of right now, the one that is the more saturated forecast, we do believe will continue to verify. But if this continues to verify over the weekend, these rain chances will increase if that long track model run that's more saturated prevails. So we're paying attention to that over the weekend. So you need to stay tuned to meteorologist Caleb Edelblut for the latest on that forecast because that will be imperative for our best chance of rainfall towards midweek next week. But speaking of rainfall, someone do a rain dance, please. Agreed. And do it over by the Maynor household because I don't know if you've heard me rant recently, but I'll go ahead and rant again. It's dry, it's crunchy, our grass not looking in good shape. But coming up here in 60 seconds, we're going to be walking through a very saturated forecast. Unfortunately, it's in the middle of the Atlantic, and that is Tropical Storm Gabrielle. Just where are we sitting with that storm, and what's the latest path on it? We'll track that coming up live on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in 60 seconds.
At Room to Room, did you know our specialty is custom ordered upholstery? Get the furniture you want and the fabric and color selection you want. With our free design service, we won't let you make a mistake.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Well, welcome back into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. What we're taking a look at right now is water vapor over the Atlantic. We're not exactly able to see satellite imagery because that sun is setting and that takes away our view in the Atlantic, but water vapor we're able to see 24/7, and we're getting a good look at Gabrielle right now. It's trying to redevelop almost because this has not exactly been in the most primed of environment. As you can see, a lot of that drier air infiltrating this storm and making it hard to continue to strengthen. It's fortunate for folks that, are in the immediate path, but honestly, that's not many folks because this is staying in the Atlantic for the most part of its lifespan. So paying attention to that as it continues to strengthen into those overnight hours and expected to move closer to the United States, but fortunately not impacting the United States. Let's get into that 4 o'clock advisory. As you can see right here, 1,004 millibars on that pressure level, winds at about 50 miles an hour, but those winds take a little bit of a step back as that drier air cycles in. So we're not exactly experiencing strengthening, but by the time we get back into our early Saturday morning, already getting back in action, a much better environment for it, and that'll continue to strengthen it into Saturday and Sunday. 60 miles an hour Saturday afternoon, 65 for your Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, we expected to reach Category 1 hurricane strength. That's kind of the general time frame, 75 miles an hour, but models are ambitious and not in the good way. It has it strengthening into a Category 2 storm as it starts to make more of that northerly direction. You see 100 miles an hour right there. Now, will this verify? It has definitely a deepening on that low pressure system that has it strengthening with wind gusts, but it does remain something to be seen because that is definitely different from where we saw yesterday. Yesterday, its peak winds were about 70, 75 miles an hour. So changing that to 100 seems like more of an anomaly than the real deal, but we'll assess it through the weekend. That is by your Monday afternoon. But granted, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter for our forecast because you can see how far it is from our area, or should I say the United States in general, not affecting us at all and continues to remain out there in the Atlantic as it takes more of that northerly track up there into the northeast. So again, we're not expecting immediate threats, but that forecast can change and we'll let you guys know if it does. We're just not very high on that confidence that it would. Our next tropical disturbance, one of those disturbances ended up fading away, just not having the environment that it needs to continue to strengthen. But that wave that was pushing off the coast of Africa now starting to get more in the Atlantic. 20% chance of development over the next 7, 0% over the next 2. Similar to what we saw yesterday, no change in those percentages, but at least keeping an eye on, if you remember correctly, the bigger circle from yesterday. That is continuing to be a possibility. So day planner this evening showcases what will be more of a dry forecast for us here in North Mississippi. No tropical weather to expect, and really no frontal boundary, no anything to expect. Just those pop-up showers at best, and those chances only about 10%. So that's good and bad, depends on how you look at it. But I mean, I know we need rainfall. I know a lot of folks need rainfall. So we'll take it if they want to bring it, but Mother Nature not providing right now. 85 around 7, 75 towards 10, and then we'll continue to cool off into those more mild conditions for your Friday morning. But folks, it is Thursday evening, one more day until we are in the weekend, so we have plenty to look forward to. We'll have more on that weekend forecast, as well as your football game forecast. Latest model runs coming out at 10 p.m. this evening, so fingers crossed it clears out by 7, but I know some folks will be dealing with some showers. We'll track where those are coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 10, and of course give you the latest runs that you need to know. So the free app, always readily available, and we'll have those updated forecasts for the hourly forecast and the 7-day. You can download that on iOS and Android right here, the free app on either app store. And of course, our 24/7 live stream allows access to our live shows at 5, 6, and then our next one at 10 p.m. this evening. Again, important to tune in for the latest on those model runs. And then tomorrow morning, 6:30, 7, and 7:30, meteorologist Maggie McCauley might be tracking a few showers in your forecast. Just where are they happening? She'll have the very latest on those storm tracks. All the more reason to tune in to Mississippi Live Weather all day long. We'll see you back here this evening, but I guess later this evening. But go ahead and have a great evening until then.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.